For centuries, people have walked the Camino de Santiago to the shrine of St. James the Apostle in northwest Spain. Now this 800-kilometre pilgrimage is as popular as ever. And 7 people living in the public eye are going to be giving up their hectic modern lives to join it.
We walk in the same footsteps that the saints have walked in, and that's a real privilege and an honour.
Each has their own reason to be here as they seek answers to life's big questions. From a comedian who firmly believes God doesn't exist.
The moment of realisation was when I saw them installing a lightning conductor on my local church. If you're not showing any faith, why should I?
To an Anglican priest.
The mistakes we make about priests, we expect them to be better than other people, but actually, we're not Jesus, we're the disciples.
A widow.
I've been there, I know.
You can't be sad because there's somebody much worse off than you are.
And a former prisoner.
What existed was my belief in finding the evidence that was going to prove my innocence. There was no God involved.
Over the next 15 days, they'll live together as modern pilgrims.
Cell block H springs to mind.
Are we having fun? I don't feel closer to God, but I definitely feel closer to death.
It's a journey that will test them physically, some to the point of exhaustion.
This is sweat. It's hard work.
It's almost like a panic attack.
That's got to be one of the most horrible kilometres anyone can ever do in their life.
But will the experience change the way they look at faith?
I wanted to feel fellowship and community, and this has been fellowship and community.
And how they see themselves.
I would like to find out whether I still believe in anything.
We're not the same people as we were when we put our first foot down.
We've become pilgrims. How you doing?
I'm not walking another step.
Yeah, you are. Come on.
No, I'm not.
The 7 pilgrims are 3 days into their journey.
They're moaning because they didn't realise that pilgrimages involve walking. They're idiots.
The going may be tough, but the Camino is so much more than just a long walk. Suffering together turns strangers into companions.
Are you religious?
I wouldn't describe myself as religious.
But you're a priest. You have to be religious. Everything I know about the godly stuff is that priests are religious.
And frees others to talk through issues that trouble them.
For me, walking into the church, there isn't me here. There isn't anything that looks like me. This makes me feel like an outsider. And so I've had to find my Christian and my religious identity through a lot of racism.
Whether skeptics or believers, the Camino can affect people in ways they weren't expecting.
I don't think this is building my faith at all. My faith's taking a knock. And this morning, I hadn't even done my prayers this morning because I just couldn't face it. Don't want to talk to him. Don't want to talk to anyone, let alone God.
The pilgrims are walking parts of the almost 800-kilometre route from France across northern Spain and all of the last 100 kilometres to their final destination, Santiago de Compostela. Today, the group split in 2 to walk different parts of the Camino. TV presenter JJ Chalmers, priest Kate Bodley, and actor Neil Morrissey are heading to a monastery once known for its vineyards.
I've many vices. I like to drink, but then so did Jesus, particularly wine. Is mine Spanish good or bad? Does that say Fuente del Vino?
What does that mean?
Fountain of wine.
It won't be real wine. But look, there's a tap with wine coming out of it. Is that right?
Gotta fortify yourself.
There is a God.
He's just necking it straight out of the tap.
Let's just stay here.
Surely it's blackcurrant juice.
You know, maybe there is a God after all.
Yes, there is. And she loves us. It's amazing. Free wine.
Yeah, baby.
Free wine. When did you ever get free wine apart from in church, and then they only give you a little bit?
Hopefully the other half of the group have been at like a cheese mountain or something.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I so hope that's true.
It's traditional to offer charity to pilgrims along the route.
It's really nice.
In Arache, the local vineyard supplies over 100 litres of wine a day, free of charge.
Savour that. A sip?
It's really nice. I think this might be the secret of me getting through the rest of the Camino.
Gracias.
That actually, for me, is a really spiritual moment. Jesus said, I've come that you might have life and have it in all its abundance.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of people do the Camino in the idea that through pain comes a greater understanding of God and that self-denial is the way to salvation. That's not quite my theology. No. This is far more my theology. You're staggering, Morrissey.
No, I'm all right, I'm all right.
It's like, show me the way to go home. I'm tired of the want to go to bed.
Once people were too scared to walk the Camino, the medieval Codex Calixtinus, perhaps the oldest guide to the route, describes the local people in this region as ugly of face, debauched and drunken. The construction of monasteries along the path helped reassure pilgrims they'd be safe in the hands of God. Santiago soon began to rival Rome as one of Europe's most popular pilgrim destinations. Neil, Kate and JJ finally reached the monastery, once run by the Benedictines.
Wow, that is beautiful.
That is.
I thought the wine fountain was beautiful, but this is really
Yeah, it's really
beautiful.
nice. I've got a lot of time. I love these windows. They're just right round the outside.
Oh, that's pretty spectacular.
It is stunning, isn't it?
Are they scallop shells?
Yeah.
So this was for the Camino as well? Stunner.
It says a relic of Saint Verinundo, whoever Saint Verinundo is. It's a piece of a saint, so quite often it's like a finger bone or a piece of skin or something like that. I'm so fascinated that parts of saints' bodies are venerated. I find that really interesting and intriguing, and it's also a bit gruesome, which I quite like.
Saint Verimundo. See, he looks a bit sad there, but in the tapestry, he's quite happy.
It's a bit like Jeremy Corbyn.
It does look like Jeremy Corbyn.
Neil was brought up Catholic, but is now an atheist.
Should we have a quick look? See, like that there. I mean, it's not there just purely for decoration, is it? That would be a chain that one of the pilgrims was forced to wear.
One of the things I love about you is you just can't get that Catholic out of you, can you? It's deep, deep down. It's like it must be something that's used to, like, beat people. It must be for penance. You can take the boy out of Roman Catholicism, but you can't take the Roman Catholicism out of the boy, can you?
I take your point, I take your point.
Entertainer Debbie McGee, journalist Raphael Rowe, singer Heather Small and comedian Ed Byrne are heading to the village of Azqueta, where charity comes in a different form.
Buenos días, señor.
Buenos días.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Debbie.
Buen camino, peregrino.
Sí. ¿Qué es eso?
Esto aquí se llama una vara. Desde pequeño me ha gustado mucho hacer palos, bastones y cosas.
This is 83-year-old Pablito's way of giving something back to the Camino.
Over the years, you've given away how many sticks, would you say?
Yo he regalado más de 30,000.
Can we make it 30,001? That looks like a stout stick.
El palo te lo he dado. Tienes que agarrar a esta altura.
Yeah. And how do people receive what you give them?
A mí, cuando me quieren pagar, le digo que no. A mí dinero no. Porque el dinero es el mayor enemigo del hombre. Es el culpable de todas las cosas malas que hay. Dinero. A mí me gusta regalar.
Principled man, yes.
You said money, the root of all evil. Do you think religion is the root of all evil?
En la religión no verás ninguna cosa mal. Todo es bien. Lo malo del mundo es que ha dejado la religión y ha cogido los placeres, el dinero, el insulto, el matar, el robar. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Uno.
No.
No! Oh my God, I've done it wrong already.
Eso no.
He's not in the least bit impressed with Ed, and frankly, neither am I.
One more time, sir.
Uno.
Dos. Tres.
Stay upright.
Cuatro. Uno.
You'll get there sometime next year.
You have given me a gift greater than the stick. You have given me the gift of humility. Today I was feeling good about myself. Now I realise I'm not even able to walk with a stick. Muchas gracias.
I thought Pablito was great, and at his age to be still gifting and giving to others and wanting nothing in return, I thought that was something to applaud.
This guy reminds me of my dad. My dad would say the same thing, principled, you know, that he sticks to something and believes in something. Guys like that can change people's view along the Camino. That's how I see him.
I don't usually walk with a stick. I might get into it, I might get used to it, I might stick with the stick, or I might decide it's more of a hindrance. But if I do, I'm not just going to discard it. I'm going to go to a post office and send it home.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Fellow pilgrims!
Is that Ed Byrne with a big stick?
How much did you pay for that stick?
I think it was about €7.
You got ripped off,
Yeah,
mate.
I thought I might have done.
Do you know how much this stick was?
Free.
We were at a winery with a fountain of wine.
A fountain of wine?
Yeah, it is the real deal.
But we're fallen homies.
The ancestors.
Fallen homies.
Yeah.
We met a bloke giving out sticks. They got the wine fountain.
Your stick story was lovely, and we humoured you and everything, but...
Comedian Ed was educated in Ireland by the Christian Brothers. It helped put him off religion for life.
I went to a Catholic school, learning catechism and being turned into a bigot, you know, being told this is the only way. Anyone else who believes anything else is wrong and is lost for not believing the one true way. The possibility of suddenly having my eyes opened to theism on this pilgrimage, I guess anything is possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No. This isn't really about a journey of self-discovery for me, more just about the joy of the journey.
On the afternoon of the fourth day, the pilgrims travelled by bus from Azqueta, passing through Logroño, and then onto the outskirts of Castro Jerez. Logroño is where the mythical 9th century Battle of Clavijo is said to have taken place. It's claimed St. James descended from heaven to help the Christians defeat the Moors. Today, everyone is welcome on the Camino, whatever their faith and whatever their beliefs. The temperature as our 7 climb Alto Mostelares is now in the mid-30s, and Debbie is struggling.
It's too hot. I'm all right on the flat, but as soon as I start walking up these hills, I'm in agony.
Oh, blimey. It's horrible.
The Camino hasn't started to work its magic on Neil yet either.
That's not fun. It's not fun. That's got to be one of the most horrible kilometres anyone can ever do in their life. This is obviously where some people have dumped their keepsakes.
There's a little heart keyring, little mementos.
There's a little rosary there.
Someone's hospital band. That's hygienic.
Well, perhaps they were walking as part of their recovery.
It's nice people leave mementos.
I think it's lovely.
Fine.
I think you need a sit down and a beer.
I have faith in people, but faith in terms of religion, not really, no. You should be learning things about yourself every day anyway. And there's no major profundities. I'm having no road to Damascus moments. I'm kind of already settled in my soul, in my life. And this is just adding to the chain of experience. Should we crack on?
Yeah, come on.
That was not a hill, that was a mountain.
It was more like a stepladder.
Yeah.
It just went on and on and on.
The group reach a hostel where every afternoon volunteer wardens wash the feet of weary pilgrims.
Yeah, sunning.
Suddenly, the day takes an unexpected turn. A conversation with a helper has offended Heather.
No, there's a difference. It's all right, you can carry on your filming, but this is not a place for me because... Somebody asks you where you come from, you tell them where you come from, and then they say, oh, the people that I know from that country are blonde and blue-eyed, and look at you with distaste. So, you know, what's he trying to say? You know, where you really from? Where I'm really from the Christian community. Where you from? You know, it was a definite diss. And it was on purpose because I saw him being nice to someone else. It wasn't his personality. He was obviously trying to make me feel uncomfortable. For me, that's not a Christian ethos. I don't care that the building is a monastery. A building's a building's a building. It's the people inside the building that make the difference. I don't really want to make such a deal of it. I'm good. I'm finished now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finished with it. I said my piece.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's an issue of solidarity for me. If somebody as part of our family has been made to feel uncomfortable, then you're left with no option. In fact, there's a passage in the Bible that says, if you are not made welcome at a house, shake the dust off your feet and leave.
The helper who Heather spoke to has now left for the day. The confraternity believes the language barrier led to a misunderstanding and says it wouldn't work with anyone they believed were racist.
All my life I've searched for Christian communities, but not everybody that you meet who purport to be Christians are not always the kindest of people. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, where we were.
Our 7 travel on by minibus. People walking the whole route take at least a month, but our group have just 15 days to complete their pilgrimage. Today, they're heading into the province of Leon, where they'll make their way to Rabanal del Camino. There are Christian symbols all along the route, none more so than here, just outside the village.
Has anyone seen a cross anywhere? I seem to have lost one.
They are a little spooky looking.
Oh. It is a bit spooky, isn't it?
It's very Blair Witch Project.
The crosses have been made by passing pilgrims.
So I was wondering, Kate, what you thought when you saw these crosses. What does it mean to you?
For me, it's another one of those things that we've seen along the way that people do as part of their pilgrimage. And if other people are doing it, then to be part of the Camino team, yes. Team Camino, then yeah, I'd love to do it. And also for me, you know, the cross it's a symbol of death, isn't it? But it's also a symbol of life.
I'm going to walk on. I'll be just further away from the crosses. I'll come with you, mate.
Now, I don't know whether to go for small and subtle or big and bolshy when it comes to the cross.
Let's have a think about what you'd normally do.
Yeah. This is bigger the true cross, this one.
I'm not going to make a cross, but I think I love coming to places like this where you see that people have left things and mementos and whatever, and it looks great.
Raf wasn't brought up with any faith or religion.
I'm not a mystical type person, therefore I don't believe in God. I fear the medieval pilgrimage religious side of things. I am pretty fearful and frightened of whether some godly figure is going to come down and convert me into a religious person. If it does exist and it's out there, when does it get you?
I don't know if you're a godly person, Jay, but do you think this church is inclusive? Do you think it is equal for everyone, both men, women, people of colour, people of disabilities?
Well, I mean, I've certainly always been raised that the church is a welcoming place and anybody is welcome. My dad's a minister, so I've grown up literally.
Is he?
Yeah. So I literally grew up in a church, you know?
So you're a godly person?
I don't think you can presume just because my dad's a minister that I'm a godly person.
True. My interpretation of your going into church, you've always struck me as being slightly hesitant. Should we make a cross? You're slightly hesitant. It's not like you kind of welcome it.
I'm not a regular church attender or anything like that. Crosses and ornate things don't really mean that much to me, and the Virgin Mary doesn't really mean much to me in the way that the people of the church would mean something to me.
But those people are those things, aren't they? They've made those crosses and all the other things what they are, and they have people believing in what they represent.
And that's what they want to do. That's the way that they do faith. You know, I'm not a person that thinks you need to be in a church to pray. I don't pray all that much, but you can do it anywhere, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I'll come to the end of my life, and certainly not the end of this Camino, and have any more reason to believe God absolutely exists, but probably no more reason to say that he doesn't exist.
I have some form of faith. There's something inside me, I don't know what it is, that is strong. What I'm kind of learning from this journey is probably that I'm fairly confused about what that faith is.
Oh, there you go. I'm happy with that. You do feel a sense of community.
I really like these crosses along this fence because what I like is the idea that each person that's done this has got a different reason for walking the Camino, has got a different reason for making the cross. Some people will have made these crosses with tears in their eyes and with sorrow, remembering a loved one perhaps. I love that all these crosses represent different people and different people's stories.
Do you think you might come back and then come and see if your cross is still here?
Do I think I'll be walking the Camino again, Debbie?
Yeah.
Have you been with me at all over the last few days?
You know that I know the answer.
I'm going to photograph Kate's cross.
I'm having some of this on mine. Oh, that sun. A bit more for Holy Spirit, I think. There we go. Let's have some of that.
Debbie's late husband, magician Paul Daniels, believed there was a rational explanation for everything.
I used to come from a very religious background, which has gone by the wayside completely. I was brought up with a faith, and then I married Paul, who was a complete atheist, and I completely turned away from religion. I would like to have a faith and have someone to pray to, but I know that I just don't really believe it at the moment.
Right.
Should we catch up with the others?
Yeah, come on, I think they're probably there by now.
The pilgrims are heading into the rugged Leon mountain range. With more people walking the Camino, hostels have sprung up all along the path, including this one in Rabanal del Camino, run by a British charity, the Confraternity of St. James. The former rectory now welcomes about 5,000 pilgrims a year.
I have 3 sets of underwear, which technically is quite luxurious, really. Most of the time, you'd hang your wet smalls on your rucksack and let it dry as you walk. But nobody really wants to see a shot of my pants hanging off the back of a bag.
As well as the usual pilgrim facilities, this hostel offers something a little more British. When the clock strikes 4, it's tea time.
I miss my cup of tea in the morning.
Leading Brits abroad and their cups of tea.
Do you not like tea, Ed?
I don't, actually. No, I'm more a coffee man.
Blimey, you're going to be excommunicated from Ireland.
Going for a dunk. Look at that.
I think it's just you get...
Today the hostel's full with pilgrims from around the world, including Ireland.
Patricia, how long have you been doing the Camino for?
Well, I started in '07 and I've done it in sections.
Right.
It's been 4 years since I was back, though, you know, so, life takes over, so you can't always...
This is going to be your final stage of a 10-year journey,
of a 10-year journey, yes.
So how's it going to feel when you're finished? Are you going to want to start something else? Do you think it's going to be emotional when you finish?
I haven't an idea, to be honest with you, not a clue. I might just be so glad that I don't ever have to carry that backpack ever again.
Yeah. Is the religious aspect of it a big factor for you?
It didn't start out like that,
right.
But it's become, I suppose, maybe somewhat more spiritual as I've progressed.
Right.
Mary, you're nodding. Is it a spiritual thing for you?
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit. At the start, you're just going for a walk.
Right.
But over time, you're really afraid to say now that you've any interest in religion anymore.
It's had some bad PR in Ireland.
I'd still be a card-carrying Catholic,
right.
but I'd put it nearly in spite of lots of things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I also think that lots of people who talk about Catholicism have no idea how much the people who are still in it have changed from maybe what they learned as children.
Yeah. I think the various scandals in the Catholic Church have reminded people that religion is what it is, which is a man-made thing. And I mean man-made, I don't mean human-made. And men can be corrupt, and men can be more interested in power than in what's right. And the Catholic Church was a victim of that.
As a self-proclaimed connoisseur of good food and wine, Neil has volunteered to make tonight's dinner.
There's a shop literally here, so we haven't got a long walk to the shops.
Oh, it's just here.
Paprika would be nice.
He's also planning to tell the others something about his early life that he normally keeps to himself.
Let's get a cup of tomatoes. I can make some tomato chutney and onion tomato. I can make something with that. Eggs. OK, so how many eggs each, do you reckon? 2 each. Let's get 3 packs and then we'll leave whatever we don't use.
In real Camino fashion.
Javier, a monk from the Benedictine monastery next door, has come to meet non-believers Raf and Ed.
Nice to meet you. Who of you is the humanist?
I'm a humanist. How does that sit with you, sir?
I don't have any problem at all with that.
And I have none with you.
What has God given to you? What have you taken from God that makes you believe in this mythical?
As a monk, along the years, I found an internal peace that gives me the courage to go ahead, dealing with all that difficult aspects of every life. I mean, my life is not easy, but for sure your life is also not easy. God gives me a sense to everything I am living. A sense, not a solution.
None of my parents are religious. None of my extended family are religious, so there was no, and I say this in the kindest way, brainwashing. If you were able to have thought for yourself rather than people think for you and make you go to Catholic school, Catholic church, maybe you would have been different. Maybe you would have been like me.
That absolutely, of course.
So it's not God, is it? It's man-made. It's your belief comes from the influence of others who have manipulated and controlled who you are and what you've become.
I could accept that, but I am missing in your argument one element. I really believe that this is the mysterious way of God. Where are you in the Camino?
For me, it's curiosity. I'm a curious person, and it appeals to me, the things I can discover, and I have discovered so much already, and it's opening my mind. It's not changing me as a person because I'm an internal believer. I believe in my own strength of character rather than some external being that I will sit down and say things to.
Many days we meet here on the Camino people who, when they meet me or another monk, they always say, I'm not a believer. And I used to say, well, for me, this is not a question.
Yeah.
You don't believe, but God believes in you, which is the most important thing for me to know.
Well, I envy your certainty on that.
He does fancy himself as a cook. I mean, he wanted to cook something a little bit elaborate, but I think Ed said, no, let's just keep it simple. We've got sort of a minimal kitchen.
Put everything out so we can see what we've got exactly.
Yeah, good. And then we can decide on the plates that we're going to make.
Neil's happy-go-lucky manner doesn't prepare the others for what's to come.
Me and my brothers, we had Irish parents, and there were times I remember being at home when they were lovely people, they were crap parents. Don't do them too thin. The social workers had their eye on us anyway. We were the kind of kids who'd get out of the house and just go feral. We'd go around the local area, burgling and breaking and entering and things like that, which I found very, very exciting. And then all of a sudden, we're going to court, and I think it's another day in court. I've been to court before, and I could hear them talking, saying something, and then my parents were crying behind me. You know, I'd never seen my parents cry. And then my parents walk off. And they go out that door, and then someone comes and says, you two, you come with us. So me and my brother went with this person.
So there was no goodbye to your parents? There was
no hugs, no kisses, no goodbyes. And then my brother was taken out of one door, and then I said, what are you doing with him? And it said, oh, he's off somewhere else. No goodbye to my brother.
Not even your sibling with you?
Didn't see him for 10 years. Didn't see him for 10 years. And I was taken to this assessment centre, which is like a kids' home with about 35, 40 kids in it. These tattoos were put on that day.
By one of the other kids?
Big boys, 16 and 17 and all that. And I remember wandering around this house, and there was a room with a telly in, so of course I went and sat there. And then I remember some woman came in and said, how old are you? And I said, 10. And she said, you should have been in bed 20 minutes ago. And gave me a whack. I said, I don't even know where my bed is. Wow. You know, so now I'm a troublemaker as well.
How do you go from care home to drama school?
When I was 11, Sheila Steele took me out of the class on the first day. As soon as I opened my mouth, put me up against the wall, slapped a script in my chest and said, you're in the school play, learn Colonel Jeffries. She just knew.
Yeah. But did you feel valued then in a way that you hadn't before?
100%. Valued is a good word, actually. I suddenly felt valued. And because I'd know, by this time, I'm starting to forget who my parents are. And by the time I was 14, I'd kind of given up on them. They actually said to me I could go home if I want when I was 14. I went, don't want to. I was in care till I was 18, really. And so in terms of the family disruption, yes, I would say that's made its mark. But did it damage me? It just educated me in a different way. It's not without emotion, it's just I've dealt with that and I've compartmentalised it and I've organised it to not damage me anymore. It's a very powerful thing to be carrying around with you on a daily basis and allow it to sort of take over your life. So you're better off just, you know, dealing with it and bringing it out and talking about it because it is just a story. I'm here now and I'm living in the moment.
Meeting Neil and seeing what a great person he is, I think that he's taken his own destiny into his own hands. He isn't what they thought he would be, this feral tearaway that was dumb and stupid. And it's a sad story, but it has such a great ending that I can only rejoice in who Neil has become.
You've been in the kitchen too long, you lot.
Yeah, you have actually.
What do you mean? You were hungry earlier, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So we do this thing at home around the table, where we just go round one by one and say something that we're all thankful for.
I'm thankful for whatever it was that led me to this place in this moment, and who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. Such great profundity.
And corny as it sounds, I'm thankful for everything because my life is perfect. You know, from the family through to a career, through to amazing adventures that I get to be on.
I'm just thankful that I've got a wonderful family. I've had a great time with all of you.
So far.
You've got to fit so far.
To you all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Every day at the Benedictine church opposite the refuge, evening prayers are dedicated to pilgrims. Javier and his fellow monks, who conduct the service in Gregorian chants, have asked Kate to read the lesson.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. Keep these words that I am commanding you today in your heart. Recite them to your children and talk about them when you're at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. It was a beautiful service. In the pilgrim prayer at the end said, bring them safely back to their homes where their absence is being felt. I loved that line. I thought it was very beautiful.
Te pedimos que te dignes bendecir a estos peregrinos que por amor de tu nombre van a Compostela.
It was an honour to be invited to do the reading tonight. And I tell you what was really nice, to be the only woman sat up there.
As Heather's got older, her faith has strengthened.
I suppose when I say that I feel spiritual, for me, I always think there's a higher being. I've started to go to church
more often. And the feeling that I get in church with that community, everybody worshiping together, it just made sense to me. I feel closer to God. I feel that there's something in me that's always been searching, and when I look for an answer, I think that the answer is God.
Tuck in, JJ. Night. Sleep tight. Night, God bless, darling.
Night, folks.
No, lads.
Princess is tucking me in. Thank you so much.
Rock-a-bye, baby. No, that'll keep you awake.
The sense of community, the sense of Christian family is quite overwhelming, and it's not just in the church congregation. You know, the sense of family between us has been just charming. Although I do wish they all wouldn't snore quite so much as they do. That's why I'm going to put my earplugs in.
Good night.
Don't let the bed bugs bite. I tell you what, girls, there's only so much concealer can cover, isn't there? I've got an allergic reaction to the Camino.
I am learning that I can survive on about 2 hours sleep a night, but last night I'm not sure I even got that.
Come in, but only if you're sexy and love Jesus.
With a little over a week to go, it's another early start, and a scorching hot day is forecast.
Room service.
What is it?
After 7.
Half 7?
I really like Neil Morris's. There's a bottle of wine next to your bed, like a milkman's been.
I put it near an upright so it doesn't get kicked over in the night.
You're very wise.
Slept pretty well, but I could always do with a couple more hours.
Okay.
You look fabulous.
Really?
Darling, you look fabulous.
Because not many people in Great Britain get to see me in the morning.
You look
I
fabulous.
prefer that way.
These feet have got to get me, not just through the rest of the Camino, but through the rest of my life. So I'm going to look after them. But yeah, it's not a glamorous thing, the Camino. It's not for people who are... Although Debbie McGee seems to be working it like nobody else. I don't know how she's looking so glamorous. She's like a vision.
Today, the group are heading for the highest point on the Camino.
It's totally breeze-free.
You feel cheated by the lack of breeze at this altitude?
I kind of do, because the breeze would be nice, especially the state of my armpits. The smell is just going straight up my nostrils.
Well, as long as it doesn't blow in my direction.
At 1,500 metres on the summit of Monte Arago stands a famous Camino landmark.
Is it?
Here it is.
Wow.
For centuries, pilgrims have brought stones from home and laid them at the foot of the Iron Cross. They represent the symbolic laying down of a burden, but typically, the group have interpreted the ritual in their own way.
I have actually brought a little stone with me.
Yeah, that's you.
I've got my stone from my garden. I feel like I should leave something. Yeah. Got it? It's not just stones people are leaving, they're also leaving flags, bits of fabric, notes, that sort of stuff. So I thought it might be nice to leave a little piece of my red scarf that's been everywhere with me on this trip.
Some of these are big stones to carry with you around the Camino.
Yeah, look at and that one there, look. I think they've just written on stones that were here, don't you?
I got this stone on the beach with my beloved Emma, and she's not here with me, but she is embodied in this stone.
And so you're going to leave her behind?
Leave her behind. Walk away from her. Walk away from her.
No, it's so that the pair of us will be here in some way, shape or form. There we go. That's me and Em on a pile of stones.
And I would say that I'm not leaving pain, I am picking up joy.
Good one.
Yeah.
I wrote Paul Daniels' Magician UK on it. So that's kind of my first bit of keeping Paul's memory alive. It made me giggle because I thought of him. And I thought, yeah, that's the sort of thing that, you know, just a little memory.
Even Raf, who's avoided religious symbolism whenever he can, is moved to make his own gesture.
So I just signed Raphael was here with a little kiss and a little smile on a rock at the highest point of the Camino, a place that has some significance to lots of people of religion and faith. For me, I just wanted to get involved in the spirit of things.
As a journalist, Raf wants to discover more about Ed's beliefs. Ed is a patron of Humanists UK.
So atheist was something I thought that I'd discovered, and then Ed goes and throws a curveball with this humanist thing. So, I mean, I don't know what a humanist is and whether it's the same as an atheist or a Christian.
A humanist believes that one should live a good life. So without a belief in any otherworldly or supernatural being or presence, that one can still, and one should still, lead a good life, a moral life.
How does that differ from being an atheist, then?
There's nothing to atheism other than saying that there's no God. You know, you can be an evil atheist.
Right, but a humanist is somebody
who believes that one should still strive to be good and we should still have morality.
The stuff he's talking about moral compass and about wanting to do good, I think that the motivation to do that, I think comes from God. Yeah. That's what I would say. That's where we would differ.
And that's okay. And while I think she's a lovely individual.
He thinks I'm wrong.
Very good. No, no, but here's the thing. It's not that I'm offended by that statement.
No, of course.
But it's this idea that Christians own those values.
Yeah. No, I don't think we own those values.
When you use terms like Christian values of goodness, it makes it sound like they are Christian values.
Like we've got a monopoly.
The simple fact is, they are just good values.
I know a lot of people that are totally hypocritical, that go to church every Sunday and pray and say I'm a really good Christian, and they're really horrible people.
I absolutely agree with you. For me, that's not what going to church is about. And for lots of Christians that I know, actually going to church is about saying, I'm a rotter. I'm not a good person. I've fallen short of all expectations and I'm trying to be better. And that's what, when I go to church and pray, that's what's in my mind. That's why I say, forgive me my... Just a minute. So that's why when I say, forgive me my sins, that's why I say that. But because I don't think because Christians don't think they're perfect. We are deeply flawed human beings.
One of the philosophies of people who are Christian is that God empowered mankind to make decisions for themselves. So God doesn't sit up wherever you imagine he does and wave a magic wand and make good people. That's not how it happens. There's really good, brilliant, great people who will never believe in God, and there's really amazing, God-fearing people in positions of power who are out-and-out evil.
I see myself as somebody who cares about people, cares about mankind, and I believe good's in everyone, and I'm an ignorantist, and I have no followers.
Are you making up your own religion?
He says, I have
You started a religion.
But like the way he said that, like it was casting his net out. Yeah. I have no followers, but please, somebody follow me.
I like Ed's stance, humanist, what it stands for, take God out of the equation, and I think you've got a good belief. I think he's kind of on the right track. It's kind of more where I'd be leaning to than Christianity.
I would hope that at least Kate and Heather understood my perspective and knew that I wasn't out to rid the world of religion. I don't have some Stalinist attitude to, you know, that we should burn down all the churches. I don't feel that way, and I just wanted to make sure that they knew that.
The next leg of the Camino takes the pilgrims through the last mountain range on the route and into the region of Galicia. They're heading for O Cebreiro. It's an area which in medieval times was famous for its powerful horses.
Hi, hola. Hola. Hola.
Hello.
Manna from heaven for tired walkers, faced with a steep climb to 1,300 meters.
We're going to Cebreiro in a horse, okay?
Yeah.
It'll take 2 hours.
Cool.
Okay?
Heather decides she'd rather walk, and hiker Ed is happy to join her.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
On foot?
Mm-hmm.
Hold in the saddle.
How you doing there?
Okay.
I'm JJ.
Yeah, I've won the Gold Cup a couple of times. No, I've ridden horses. I've been on horses. I've never fallen off one. Yet.
As they walk, Christian Heather wants to understand more about humanist Ed.
You were saying to me that your children go to a Christian faith school.
They go to a school that's the least Christian-y one we could find in the area that was still a good school. But
And how did you do that?
Every school we went to,
survey?
it was one of the things I asked. I go, so guys, just how much God is there in this school? We were out walking, and my youngest got stung by a nettle, and he was really angry about it. He was like, when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask God why he makes nettles.
There's joy in them.
And I'm just like, well, maybe,
because obviously nettles are the devil's.
Yeah, well, that's my elder son said that then. He said, God doesn't make nettles, the devil makes nettles. And I'm like, well, maybe there is no God, maybe there's no devil, and maybe things just are. Do you ever think of that? And there's like, nah, that's stupid. The devil clearly makes nettles, Dad.
Daddy.
You idiot. Every hill I go up, virtually, I feel like I'm scouting it for a return visit with my kids. We've had a lovely walk, haven't we?
It's been absolutely brilliant.
The walkers make it to the top of the mountain ridge before the riders.
I've enjoyed the company, I've enjoyed the walk. I found in him a fellow walker, and he's found in me a person who's a convert. Yes.
Yeah. I like to think I was becoming less judgmental about other people's religion anyway. But certainly being on the pilgrimage and hanging out with Kate and Heather, I see how important people's faith is to them, and I respect people for sticking with it in a way that I maybe didn't before.
The Camino so far has done a lot for me in this short space of time, and it's everything. It's spiritual, it's emotional, and it's physical.
I'm enjoying it even more than I would have been if I was just doing it.
It's like seeing your child grow wings and fly out all on their own.
We're getting heavily metaphorical now.
Is it? Is it? Is it too much for you, Ed?
It's too much.
Too much for you?
It's just a walk.
Oh, God, push it.
Later that evening, at the hostel where they're staying, JJ talks about living with his disability.
It's about striking the balance between being able to do the things I want to do, like riding a horse, and you know, having a bit of pain as a result of it.
The former Royal Marine was fortunate to survive after being blown up in Afghanistan 6 years ago.
We entered this compound to search it, and the next thing I pretty much knew, I was on my back and I was just in agony. I'd just been absolutely slammed by something. And I can remember my face in particular had sort of been crushed, and I went to use my right arm and, you know, it was completely hanging off. And then I pulled my left hand up, and that's when I saw all my fingers hanging off.
Were you the only person hurt in that explosion?
3 of us were evacuated, wounded, and 2 of my friends, Marines, were killed, and our Afghan interpreter was killed.
You described your arms not being there, well, so how comes you've got your arm and your fingers, or at least some of them?
You know, they looked at me and were like, we're pretty close to amputating both this guy's arms, so we've got to do absolutely everything we can to try and save one of them. It took the best part of 3 or 4 years to actually rebuild these. You know, going back into hospital, you know, for another couple of weeks and, you know, improving it slightly, recovering for another 6 months, doing that again.
I'm guessing at some point in your recovery journey, prayer did play a part.
No, I don't specifically remember sort of praying when I was in hospital, but I remember taking strength from the fact that people were praying for me. You know, I really appreciated that. And I remember a nurse coming in and putting her arm around me, and she just said, "I'm praying for you." And it was just, it was awesome. You know, it was the people around me, and, you know, if it was God that they were asking for help or whatever, but to me, it was that somebody had my back, and that was nice.
You're an incredible man, JJ.
Yeah, absolute privilege.
Yeah, extraordinary.
In our first few days of walking, JJ was my motivation, I'll be quite honest, because of that spirit and because he's been through so much, but he doesn't carry around him every day as some heavy piece of baggage.
He's totally unselfish and totally humble. He's all about helping everybody else.
We're coming along here, as is always, following the seashells. The last section will be like downhill
Distance,
to a degree.
JJ, what are we talking?
We're talking about 8 kilometres to Porta Marina.
Today, the group are starting the final part of their pilgrimage from the hamlet of Ferreros. And now they know exactly the size of the task ahead.
This is a stone that says we've got 100 kilometers to go. This is officially the start of the point where you have to walk every single step of the way from here.
All pilgrims must now get their passports stamped and dated twice a day to prove they really have walked from here to Santiago.
It's quite a proud moment, isn't it, to get this first of the last 100.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're on the way home, folks.
Yeah. Although
I'm looking forward.
I'm doing really well today. Yeah, all good. Although it's a little bit undulating. It's not up those hills that I hate.
She is loving it.
She is loving it. I'm so pleased she is.
And I can't get over how happy I am that she's enjoying it.
I'm happy that she's enjoying it.
The 12th and the 13th centuries were the golden age for the pilgrimage, but the Renaissance and Reformation in Europe led to a steep decline in numbers. But over the last 30 years, the Camino has become more and more popular, especially this final stretch. More than 40% of pilgrims on this route start their journey from here. For some, one pilgrimage isn't enough. Irishman John Brearley was a chartered surveyor who was drawn to the Camino after a personal crisis. He's returned over 50 times and now writes guidebooks about the route.
My life became absolutely meaningless. Who am I? What's the purpose of my life? Really, where am I going? And out of the desperation of that, I decided I needed to take time out to go and try and find myself. And the Camino gave me the space to open up to how my life might reorientate itself. So it was hugely significant and important to me.
I went into an experience which was similar, but mine was enforced, having been locked up in prison for a crime I didn't commit. And then the next 12 years, it was about reinventing myself, reinventing who I was. I never ever thought I would have children. I thought I was locked up for the rest of my life and I would never have the opportunity to have sex again, let alone have children or, you know, discover what love is. You know, I was worried about one thing and one thing only, and that was getting out. And that became my priority. And year after year, when it didn't happen, I became more and more scared, but equally more and more hopeful. So I kind of identify with you when you say you reinvented yourself, only mine was enforced.
There are two Caminos. There's the outer Camino, this lovely path, trees and the things that happen along it, but the pilgrimage also has that inner journeying. That's what makes it a pilgrimage as opposed to just a hike through nature. And I think the Camino certainly provides a supportive environment for people to reflect on their lives.
The pilgrims have been on the road for 2 hours and they need a break from the midday sun. Susanna, a retired psychologist from Australia, felt so at home walking the Camino, she bought a house right on the pathway. She set up a donativo, a place where pilgrims are offered drinks and snacks in exchange for voluntary donations.
Thank you so much for this.
Yeah,
this is lovely.
Cheers. My pleasure. Great.
So what do you get from it then? Why do you do this?
The real source of happiness is from helping others. And it's by helping others in a small scale and a large way that we find happiness in ourselves.
It seems to me, hearing you speak, that you really want to give to pilgrims and people that are walking the Camino way, that, as you did yourself. Is that right?
I think for pilgrims, yes. I think for some people, the pilgrimage is a life-changing event and it's an opportunity to get your head around where to from here. You know, some people find it hard to function in this world, this crazy world we're part of, and they just need time out to do that.
What have you learnt, and what have you learnt about yourself?
For pilgrims, I've learnt that pilgrims are similar to life. There will always be one shit person you meet a day.
Sometimes you'll get 6 or 7 in a day.
Speak for
This
yourself.
is pretty much your ration for the week.
Yeah. But I've learned to let it go and say it's not going to spoil my day. My partner says I'm a too much woman. I want too much, I love too hard, I talk too loud, I laugh too much.
I myself think I am too much for women, and I'm happy to be in that camp. And what is it? If a man says you're too much, he's definitely not.
Enough. I don't know why you were looking at me when you said that as well. I feel like properly.
Susanna's house and Susanna's philosophy are absolutely beautiful. This I get, this I understand, this is my Camino. What appeals to me is the generosity of spirit, that it's about giving, because the secret of giving is that when you give, you receive more back than you actually gave in the first place. So people think you're a really good person if you give, which you are, but there's a slightly selfish reason for giving. It's that it makes you feel great.
You show off.
That's half mine.
Skin JJ.
Do I think only Christians have got a monopoly on kindness? No, of course not. But she's my Jesus today. She's my Jesus today. I've met God through her today, whether she knows it or not.
The 7 are halfway through their pilgrimage, and now there's a new challenge.
There's definitely a storm coming. Wouldn't it be funny if I got struck by lightning and you didn't? You'd be like, see? Told you.
One minute it's just spitting, and then next minute it's pouring. And I will make myself look a fool because I will not catch a cold, the shivers, or have to give up the Camino because I'm in bed sick.
If there's anyone who looks like giving up, it's Kate.
Not that far, you liar. It's a sin to lie.
On the road to Santiago, she's going to need every ounce of her spiritual strength.
I am not looking forward to this at all. It feels like the start now. It feels like the last 100k, and I just don't want to be here. People are lovely, but I can't communicate how scary it feels to me. Just the physical stuff just terrifies me. I'm not scared of the spiritual stuff. I'm not frightened of meeting God. Bring that on, you know? I'm not frightened of an amazing spiritual experience that changes my life. Bring it on. But putting one foot in front of the other is absolutely petrifying. If there was a taxi to take me to the airport now, I'd be in it.
Next time.
It's starting to get bottlenecked now, so it is turning into a kind of a pilgrim fest.
After some rest and relaxation,
There's a wonderful book in the Bible. It's really rude. Your breasts are like gazelles. Beautiful.
the pilgrims press on to Santiago.
How your feet doing, Debbie?
They're doing a lot better since JJ pricked them and drained my blisters.
But will the journey have changed them?
Look at that.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
It is our shared experience about the Camino that has bonded us so tightly, I think.